Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. So just like we talked about yesterday on the 2A4M, I wanted to talk about another tank that was leaked, but it doesn't really matter if it's actually real or not. I still think that it would be an amazing tank to be added. The T-80 UD, and you were going to be saying, why, Matt? Another T-80U? I mean, come on. Well, guys, there is a little bit of a reason for this tank to exist in the game, I think. Of course, as I said, it was leaked in that leak that everybody's talking about. We don't know if it's true or not. But a lot of questions came up, and it seems that this is the more correct one for now. So, since we don't have anything to talk about, let's talk about it. And it kind of brought the idea of a new variant of the T-80, you know, and this T-80 is actually a very interesting one. Just like I talked about yesterday, there's a lot of nations that don't have premiums at 11.0 plus, right? So the top dogs receiving premiums. Of course, they will never like add an 11.7 for now. You know, the BR is at 11.7 if I'm not mistaken. I have to check, I don't remember now anymore, but still. The max BR is not going to have a premium tank ever, but close to top tier it is already happening. We have the M1A1 clickbait, for example, and the Challenger 2 OES, right? So these two tanks, they are 11.3, and the 2A4M that we talked about yesterday was actually a tank that was 11.3 aircraft tank material, right? So it would be a tank that would be around the same level of performance of those tanks, because of course it would be similar to something like a 2A5 but a little bit worse in some areas, you know. So it would make a lot of sense, and the T-80 UD would be that. So what is the T-80 UD? Well, there is a misconception about this tank. It was actually developed in the Morozov Bureau in the Soviet-Ukraine. 1987, I think it was the first year of production of this tank. And it is known as an Ukrainian tank, but it really is a Soviet tank that the Ukrainians continue to produce, right? So there are even modernized variants apparently with about this tank. So it is a very, very interesting design and tank, and it's an interesting one because it kind of got mixed it up with the all the political thing that happened in 1991, right? But before that, the idea was to actually, in the late 80s, mid 80s to late 80s, the idea was to build a T-80U that would have a little bit more, I mean, it's different. Like, the main objective of using turbine engines, it was to be fast, etc., but there was a very good idea behind using in cold weathers, you know. So basically, turbine engine tanks are really, really good in very cold weathers, which is a very, very big thing in Russia, of course, in the Soviet Union, right? But then they decided to have one that would be more of a normal T-80U, a T-80U that could actually operate in the heat of a desert, for example, or something like that. Not that the T-80U, the normal one, could not do that, but it would have a little bit of problems, just like the Abrams had a little bit of problems dealing with the sand and other problems that turbine engines produce in the desert, for example, right? So the idea was to basically make a tank that could be a little bit more reliable, and especially a high fuel efficiency and a long cruise range throughout a more heated environment. Basically, that was the idea, right? So they changed it. The tank itself is the same as the T-80U, but it changed the 1,000 horsepower, or even 1,250, I think it was on the EU version, turbine engine, to the 1,000 horsepower 6TD6 cylinder opposite piston. So it was a 6-cylinder boxer engine. I actually don't know if it was a boxer engine or the completely crazy opposite engine that the Soviets used in T-64. I have to check that actually. But the idea was a 6-cylinder engine that produced a lot of power. I mean, a lot of power. Like 1,000 horsepower for a 6-cylinder engine. It's a lot of power, guys. So it was a very efficient engine while still producing a lot of power. I said that word, that phrase a lot of times, but still, it is a tank that had almost the same power of the normal T-80U, but also, I mean, it's basically the same power as the T-80B, right? Of course, a little bit heavier than the B, but still. And together with that, having a little bit more of a reliable engine to be used in a normal, like, up to 55 degrees Celsius environment, right? So it is the same tank, but it has a diesel engine, or it's a multi-fuel engine, but still. So it's very, very interesting to have this tank as a premium. Why? Because it would be basically the same protection, the same ammunition, everything like that from the T-80Us, right? So it means that it's going to be in the same BRs as the other T-80Us, the EU, the UK. It will be an 11.3, but oh wait, the 2A4 would be something like that as well in the German tech tree, the 2A4M, right, the Canadian one. And the clickbait is already 11.3. And then the British already have the Challenger 2 as well. So it just makes sense for an 11.3 like this. It would be in the same realm of the tanks that we already have. So it wouldn't be like, oh my god, a completely OP tank. It is the same good old T-80, a little bit slower. Maybe you would have problems with reverse speeds. I don't know exactly how was the reverse speed of this thing, but it probably was really bad. So it would have these little things, uniquenesses of the tank that would make it up for to be kind of useless as a Tech 3 vehicle, to be honest, because do you really want to grind a T-80U that will be a little bit weaker and with a worse reverse speed? No, probably not, right? So why would they add that? But as a premium, it adds the flavor of being unique, you know, it's a little bit unique, not by much, but enough to be considered a premium. And of course, 500 of the T-80UDs were produced in the Malishayev plant between 1987 and 1991. 300 of them were still in the factory while the Soviet Union was breaking up, right? So it was very much, it became a Ukrainian tank by force, kind of, right? It's kind of funny, the history about this tank, but it is a very, very interesting design, unique enough to be a premium, as I said, 11.3. It wouldn't be OP, it wouldn't be too weak. It is the perfect 11.3 premium for the Soviet Union if they want to add one, just like they did with the US or the Challenger 2. Is it ethical or something like that? I mean, it's still going to be a $70 premium probably, right? So yeah, that's another question for another video, but at least the idea of the tank itself would be cool, since, I mean, if they have to add a premium, why not add this one, right? That's kind of the idea. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments what do you think about the T-80UD. See ya, guys. Bye.